I want to know at 877-881-1053, how much has your opinion on Dak Prescott changed? Okay, we have another 13 minutes here before we got to go to break. We have the time to talk about this. We have Bobby Belt coming up at 5 o'clock. He is one of the biggest Dak backers of all time, and I'm going to ask him right there at 5 o'clock, is your faith rattled that this is the Cowboys franchise quarterback for, let's say, the next 5 to 8 years? Because guys play into their late 30s at this point. Is Dak going to get a second contract? How would you handle it if he was a free agent coming up this offseason? Eric, let's start with you.
If Dak was a free agent this offseason?
Yeah.
I would probably be I'd be really committed to the tank job at this point, knowing that, okay, he's a free agent, so we can let him walk and we can go draft something here in the top 10. Hopefully the quarterback situation in the draft this year is much better than what it was last year.
It's good. It's good, isn't it, Brian? I mean, there's two guys in mocks that are ahead of Bama and Ohio State right now.
Yeah, it's and the kid of Kentucky, I think.
Will Levis.
Will.
Yeah.
Will Levis. You got Anthony Richardson, who didn't look very good on Saturday night.
No, he
did.
did.
You got Bryce Young and C.J. Shred. You got four guys right now that are first rounders.
Yeah. So I think the confidence in Dak is certainly shaken up. I mean, it's shaken up for me because, like, I understand a lot of he's not getting the help from the top on down with the way this team is built. I mean, come on, he's looking downfield, and when we get the all-22, we'll get to see for sure. But how many of these guys were open? How many of these dudes were open? You got and CeeDee Lamb is not a bona fide. It doesn't matter that there's nobody else to throw to. Everybody knows I'm getting the ball kind of wide receiver, and you can still just force it to me. I got 2-3 guys on me. I'm going to come up with it more often than not. He ain't that. So, okay, where do you go? Where do you look to here? There's not much help. Then your offensive line, you're not very trusting of that. But then even on the plays where he did have time, it's like, okay, is nobody open? Or are you a little bit gun shy right now? You're not seeing things very, very well. And that's the biggest thing for me. And you were talking about this all off season, Broadus, of like, okay, we know you're gonna be in the weight room, you're gonna be in your backyard with guys, you're gonna be throwing with them. But it felt like defenses figured you and your play caller out last year. What did you guys do in the film room to try and make up for that and remedy that situation? And didn't feel like much was there. Like you're not seeing things well right now. And so maybe he needs these 6 to 8 weeks to say, hey, I can't do much physically. Let me go try and get better in the classroom here, because
that was my hope though in the off season though.
Right. And it clearly didn't happen.
No.
To be at this point in his career, you would think this is where that kind of stuff is no longer the problem.
Sure.
Once you get into the year 6s and 7s and 8s, you would think you're seeing things clearer than ever. Things are slowing down for you when there's bright red jerseys all over the place. You know not to throw into that. And it was just, everything was wonky. He looked off. He felt off. And that's the biggest issue for me is you're seeing things like Sam Darnold did on Monday Night Football when Bill Belichick came to town. We're seeing ghosts out here. You're not trusting anything around you, and you don't even trust yourself to see the right thing and throw the football.
Brought it up last night that I felt like that maybe even in week 1 you need to think about Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling duties.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And I know it's just a throw out there, and maybe now if you can get Jason Peters ready at left tackle and then maybe move Smith to another spot to help you. But yeah, you're going to be out without Dak for 8 weeks here now. And
Mike, I don't know if I want that now with Cooper Rush.
I just, the more I talk to people around there, Mike doesn't know the offense.
Mike doesn't know the offense.
He doesn't want to call the offense. He doesn't know. I mean, I'm hearing things
Does
about.
that go to the laziness?
Well, no, I think it's, he just the terminology and stuff. I mean, forever he had certain terminology they used at the Packers, and I just not hearing a very positive, but I kind of
I'm
feel
not surprised. He barely talks during the game.
Well, the thing about
it's just insane.
He's just standing there watching.
That makes no sense. You're an offensive head coach and you don't know the verbiage?
Well, I mean, that's to me, I mean, you talk to people within the organization, and that's why Mike doesn't want to call the plays. Now, if he turns around all of a sudden and says, I need to call the plays, I would like to see it. I think this coordinator hampers Dak in the way he calls plays. But I'm not going to give Dak a pass because I think Dak is, like you said, Chief, has had trouble reading. I watched the All-22. I've seen it. There were routes that they were there. There were crossing routes that could have been big plays across the field. He checks it down to the flat or throws it to the tight end, and he's just not seeing the field. He's not seeing it like he needs to. And, whether it's hesitation or or just nervousness about it, but he was awful. His decision making was terrible.
Yeah.
He's supposed to progress in his reads. He doesn't. I think that you look at him, an issue. You look at the offensive coordinator, issue.
Amen.
Look at the head coach, it's an issue. Somebody has got to figure out a way. And, we all talk about getting rid of Dak now. That's a possibility. But my plan is, and Gavin, you said this during the summertime, and I think it's absolutely right. You're evaluating the offensive coordinator and the head coach right now. Mm-hmm. And if that changes and then Dak does not respond to potentially a new head coach or a new coordinator, then you need to say, well, we can't give him that contract.
Sure.
We got to move on.
Right. People want to talk about the weapons, and, Amari's gone. Well, look, this offense was stagnant and horrible for the entire second half of last season.
With great weapons.
And you had the weapons.
Yeah.
So, look, Aaron Rodgers didn't look good yesterday, and he had poor weapons. This whole notion of Dak's got to make the receivers better. There's a handful of receivers or of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have really been able to elevate the talent around them. Josh Allen has great weapons around him. He's a really good quarterback. You look across the NFL, the guys that are the elite quarterbacks in football, they've got talent around him. That's a big reason why they're good. Okay, so this whole thing about Dak's got to elevate the weapons, that'd be a great thing, but it's hard to do.
He hasn't been able to get Dez Bryant, Amari Cooper, or CeeDee Lamb the football enough.
Is that necessarily on him, or is that on the play caller?
Well,
it's shared. I think it's
I'm
about
for
equal.
that. And I'm for that.
You're the guy throwing the football.
Tony Romo didn't have a problem getting the ball to Dez or Laurent Robinson or Patrick Creighton or Miles Austin.
Okay, that's fine. Right, but Tony Romo got a lot of criticism as well.
Sure.
And Tony Romo wasn't able to get the team over the hump either. But I'll tell you what, I was scarred from, and it's no disrespect to Brian, it's not all your fault, but from the early 2000s era where the Cowboys had no quarterbacks and they finally got lucky with Tony and Dak. It's like when they have one, I just want to believe in that guy so much that I will keep the faith year to year and hope eventually it's going to work out. But now, after what we saw yesterday, and now the injuries are starting to pile up to where there's an availability question, and these are some fluky freak injuries, but they're starting to add up with the hand and the foot and the ankle. Dak, if you're not even going to be available for right now, what good are you? So if we are questioning the play on the field and you can't even suit up on Sunday, I think you have to, even if you're the biggest Dak supporter, you have to start looking at maybe you need to see another option.
That's ultimately why a big part of why they moved on from Romo and why they drafted Dak, why they wanted to trade into that first round in 2016 and get Paxton Lynch or a little bit later on Connor Cook, because they felt like Romo's getting older and Romo's getting hurt and we need to have a new plan. So if I'm the front office chief, I'm thinking about these things today. I'm saying he won't stay healthy. You can go back to the AC joint in 2019, the catastrophic 2020. Last year was 3 different things. And this time over the space of 72 hours, it was different things, the foot and now the hand. You have to consider that significantly in this evaluation of how faithful we should be. Then you go to him and his agent stuck it to us. They wouldn't even let us get the 5th year, And we were like, dude, we gave you unbelievable weapons and a great offensive line. You're not giving us any help on the back end. You're going to act like that's all you elevating a team? So if you're going to act like that's all you taking the team to the number 1 offense, then when you don't have 3 great wide receivers and 5 great offensive linemen, that's you too. Agent man?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, this to me, this development is so much bigger than the disappointment of an opening loss.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because now it's like not only do you have before he got injured, he did not look at all like a franchise quarterback. Then now you add another injury to the conversation, and so the injury prone, all that stuff, and it starts to wear on you. And he's not the kind of quarterback that you can just say, hey, we can kind of lose your athletic ability and your mobility, and you can just be a guy that from a cerebral standpoint and accuracy standpoint can just win from the pocket. No, he needs his athleticism. He needs his wheels. He needs to have the threat to be able to run. And so he's not the kind of dude that can just be kind of physically physically hampered and just be like, okay, well, I can just lean on my accuracy and my ability to read the field, and I can just get the ball out super quick and I can be super efficient. Like the way that Dak is successful is you got to have the threat of the run. You got to be able to use your legs. And if that's not going to be there, that's going to be a massive problem. So like I want him to come back in and play no matter what the situation is where you find yourself record wise in the next 6 to 8 weeks, because there's an evaluation process now with Dak. Because now you're starting to look at everything. All options are open, and you're seeing teams now across the league in your own division and elsewhere move off of quarterbacks at a very, very rapid rate. Whether it's eating millions and millions of dollars to do so for 1 year, it's no problem. The good thing is even a Carson Wentz is fetching fair draft picks. So there's a chance that if you did want to move off of Dak, there's probably a ready-made team that says, hey, we need a quarterback, and we'll give up a little bit to go get a guy. And so maybe they find themselves there. But I think all options are on the table in terms of where you want to go moving forward with your quarterback position.